The Valuart Podcast.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Valuart Podcast. Eddie,
Welcome.
Izzy, and Mark here for I think like week 7, maybe week 8.
Week
I don't
7
know.
now.
It's week 7, yeah. Cool. We had a guest arranged for today, but said guest has disappeared, so probably not going to happen for this episode. But what we're looking to do in the coming weeks is talk to some collectors, potentially some whales, but also some interesting, I guess you could call them curators, or like people that are running these series. Yeah, we want to get much deeper into the NFT community realm. Ooh, realm. What a throwback that was. Yeah, that was a fun episode, by the way. I'm really glad we did that, and I hope we get to have those guys on again.
Loved it.
You call them curators, would we call them businessmen and women?
Yeah, I mean that's actually what this comes down to. This is something I was like interested in talking to our guest about, because I don't know if I would call them curators as much as I would call them investors or business people. Yeah.
Definitely.
So,
in fact, one of the main questions that I wanted to ask today is like if they define themselves like collectors, like their purpose in it, like in collecting NFTs, if they see it more as a passion for the art, the concept, or if they see like the utility, right? Because now like on a lot of platforms, you can stake NFTs, like Stoner Cats, that you can actually watch episodes. You have special access to content. So I really wanted to dig into this today, but I guess it'll be for next time.
Have you seen any other examples of NFTs with a utility like the Stoner Cat series? Because I was actually going to buy Deadheads last week. I considered it for their animated series, but other than those two, I really don't see a lot of these series, these Avatar series specifically, doing that. They maybe have it in their roadmap, but it's not happening now, you know?
The apes have got some stuff built into their roadmap.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly haven't seen many projects doing that, so I'm really curious to see, like, in the next months, which ones will be doing that. What I've been noticing is just a lot of NFT projects really focusing on charitable causes. I don't know if you noticed that too, and I think that that's a trend that's really.
Do you think that's manipulative? Do you think that that's false advertising on the part? Like, do we know how much of those funds are actually going to charities? Do we know? Is it transparent? Like, I'm sorry. I know I sound super cynical, but I am.
No, absolutely. I mean, I definitely, I'm kind of cynical too sometimes, but at the same time, since, all these projects are open source, I guess you can go and kind of check. That's the nice thing about these things, that you can see literally all the transactions, right? I don't know, like the wallet of where it goes exactly, but I guess you can kind of find out by checking that. But definitely, I think that a lot of projects, unfortunately, are like scams. Another thing that I was thinking is, back in 2017, there were a lot of ICOs emerging, and then more than half of them were scams. Then, of course, like the projects that were still in this period with the next cycle, a lot of other scams came out, but the strongest ones from 2017 stayed. And what I'm seeing, like in the NFT space, is kind of like the same thing. So I think that now is kind of like the pump. I wouldn't define it like it is a bubble, right?
For sure.
In the sense,
I mean, yeah.
I definitely believe in the long term of it, but just like 2017, it's not going to be like, there's just going to be like the winners staying, right? And all the scammers and little projects that emerge just for FOMO, they're going to collapse. What do you think?
But that's like 99% of the projects now are just capitalizing on FOMO, or just speculation.
I know.
And people. So I have this fear of this community, of this kind of approach to the technology, NFTs specifically, of it devaluing the technology itself and the way we could use it, or the like I see the art community, the art enthusiasts, witnessing this from the outside of all this like investors and the speculation and the hype and like the absurdity of these sales, and then being like, whoa, this is dumb. Why would I want to get involved in this? It's gonna pop and then it's gonna go away. So I think what we're seeing right now is probably a lot of people hesitating that could be using the technology in a very meaningful way and extending their platforms as creators. And that kind of bums me out, because it's just, I don't know, it feels, we have this opportunity to do things differently, and it feels like we're just doing it the same way. That it's just like you said, the ICOs or anything else like that's built on speculation, and that kind of sucks.
Exactly.
Agree with your pessimism there a little bit, Eddie. I'm more optimistic than you. I think that having this experimentation, and a lot of it is just experimentation at the moment, the cliche that the good will out, I think holds true. And in a few months, a few years, like Izzy said, a lot of the crap will be weaned out. I don't know how one of the problems I see with that is how do we define what is a valuable project and what isn't? I mean, I like what Izzy said, but how will that be defined in the future? But with all this experimentation at the moment, and I think it will create something new. I think it will get better. I think the use case for it and the real life of it will appear. I'm a bit more optimistic.
I think
Absolutely.
You're right, and I am being pessimistic, but it's more about like it's not, because like the internet didn't go away in the .com bubble, right? Like it didn't fall apart, and like people weren't like abandoning it because a bunch of money was lost. But I do think it hurt its reputation for a while. I think it hurt like people. It took like several years after that for small businesses to be like, I should do this. I should be on the internet. You know, I think it just changes the timeline a little bit, maybe delays the progress that we could see in the respective industries with this technology, because of a bunch of people just trying to make money really fast and take advantage of other people's FOMO and lack of community. And that's the thing that really hurts my heart, is like so many of these people getting scammed and so many of these people like throwing their money at these insane like voxel artworks. It's just people lacking a sense of community. And like they have their avatar now and they're like, oh look, it's my Twitter avatar, it's my Discord avatar, like I'm part of something. And like that's wonderful, and we all want that. But at a macro level, people like Gary Vaynerchuk and like VFriends are gross to me. Like it's really gross that there's these people that are just taking advantage of those communities. They're like, let's just pop into the Discord chat real fast for like 10 minutes, and then like people will see Gary's name in there, and then that NFT series will explode in value and we'll drop it and then it'll be over. Like that's so predatory. I don't like that. I hope it just balances out more. Like I want to see more projects like the Stonercast project or like the Deadheads project, or stuff that is bringing more value to the collector and to the artist. Like I want to see more projects like that, because right now it's mostly just people throwing together a series as quickly as possible, making a shitload of money, and then like wiping their hands of it and moving on. And even
there's definitely a lot of opportunism. And as a tech guy, Eddie, when in the internet in the 1990s, the gatekeepers, did they keep it complicated for normal people, in inverted commas, to enter the space? Like, is one of the problems with NFTs now just how difficult it is, or not easy it is to create something creative? And is that complexity putting people off? Is there something to do with making it easier?
You mean the practicality of like minting an NFT and making a piece of... Actually, minting an NFT is not that complicated. I think you just need a basic understanding of programming, and I think you can do it with JavaScript even. Like I was reading like nftschool.dev has a really nice write-up about how to go from knowing nothing with a little bit of knowledge about like front-end development and some back-end, to launching your own series and like different ways to mint. So I think there is a learning curve involved, and I think there's a lot of friction for people who have maybe no experience, and probably artists are in that camp, and we're going to see them slowly catch up. Actually, it's funny because the internet is the internet in the 90s specifically is why Beanie Babies became as massive as it was. And Beanie Babies are like an analog for this whole NFT boom, right? And they got ahead of the curve. I think it was one of the first e-commerce sites. The Beanie Babies website was like one of the first e-commerce sites on the internet. And I guess these platforms like OpenSea and these these avatar series are also first to market and taking advantage of a space that I guess we needed this in some way. We needed, like, people needed a way to see their crypto, to spend it, to see what it would be, other than just sitting in their wallet.
Yeah, and to add to that, you know, I think that the implementation of virtual worlds now, right, where I think that's going to really help in this sense, to this adoption, because in these virtual worlds, what I envision is these communities really like engaging with one another and solidifying, you know, the value of projects. And also, you know, I can already imagine, like, I don't know, stoner cats, like creating their own spot where users can reunite, right, in the virtual world. And only who has like a stoner cat can access and maybe sit together, watch the episode, comment together. I mean, I think that the virtual worlds will really like enhance these projects and really put like a major like value to it, you know?
Yeah, the NFT space combined with the metaverse and like these virtual worlds definitely excites me. But Mark, to your point about like the slow build, we're just talking about the Pet Rock series, which has been around since 2017. So if this technology has been there since 2017, and we're now just in 2021 seeing a bubble of like really superficial projects, why do you think that is? Why do you think it's taken this long to why do you think it's still like, it's not necessarily about these projects putting out ideas and then the technology catching up with their promises, because these could have been 3 years in the making at this point, but these projects all seem like they're popping up within the last few months.
Netflix, I think it's possibly, it might, if you want to get deep into the wormhole of the psyche of the population, I think everyone was watching Netflix and not paying attention, and COVID came around and people finished watching their series. Like I'm joking about that, but people started paying attention, and that was what, March 2019. So it's all happened because it takes that long, that year and a half to build the business map, or for these people to get together, have the conversation, decide what they're going to do, and then do it. And I think a lot of it hangs on COVID.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you, Mark. Like, so many projects, even Stoner Cats was created in COVID time, right? I think that in COVID we all had like more time to even like discover new things. Me too. Like I remember in that period I was like just studying anything, and I actually started getting into crypto in that period. I was kind of still scared of it. I like really got into it in September 2020, but it was definitely that period that you had more time to find out and study. So
we all know lots of people who have started a new hobby, changed their job, changed their relationships, changed their lifestyle, and that's a global phenomenon that's happened. And it's just a numbers game, isn't it? And some of those people found crypto, they found NFTs. It takes a bit of time for the ideas to gestate, and they meet people on Twitter, and I think it's just the timeline has led to like the summer of 2021, a year and a half, and that's why we're seeing the explosion now.
Yeah,
exactly. And also I think COVID in general really changed our view to virtual and digital overall, right? Because like there's some people that have always worked remotely, but now for everybody to like work on Zoom and everything, it was like, oh my God, how am I going to face this? How am I going to be totally digital? Instead, now you see like the turnaround that after these almost 2 years, people don't even want to go back to the offices. They're looking for virtual and different digital solutions. So there's been like a shift in the perception. It would have happened, I think, sooner or later, it was bound to happen. It would have been more gradual. But, you know, due to COVID, it just like hit us and happened so rapidly.
That was actually an interesting point that Mark that Matt made on the last episode, where he was talking about how blockchain got a bad rap in terms of like the cost of operating, and how like these massive financial institutions and businesses have these office spaces and people have to commute, and the carbon footprint for all of that. And I was like, wow, you know what? Like, I never really looked at it from that perspective. And I think remote work is doing some good in that sense, and
it really
lowering
is.
our carbon footprint. I sent you guys both this article, The Premium Mediocre Life of Maya Millennial, and I want to just read a quick section from it because it struck me. He says, the only path to wealth building available to the average premium mediocre young person in the developed world today, absent of any special technical skills or entrepreneurial bent, is cryptocurrencies. Public markets are not really reliable for building wealth, and private markets are basically, if you have money, you continue to make money, and it's hard to get into, which leaves the cryptocurrency lottery as the only documented way up, regardless of skills. And I think that actually, when I read this, it really made sense to me. Like, you don't have to have a lot of skills or any skills really, to make any money in crypto. You have to be ahead of the curve. You have to like kind of be first in and then first out. And I think that made a lot of sense, like why we're seeing this sort of middle class of millennial really take to it, and why a lot of people who maybe never knew anything about economics or finance before are like, all of a sudden they're traders, and they've got YouTube channels where they're talking about like charts, and they're looking at graphs, and they're like, oh, if you look at this curve.
Absolutely. Like, I guess it's also like all the sources of information we have, like compared to years ago. I loved how you mentioned also YouTube. For me, it's truly like a source of knowledge. YouTube, Twitter, I'm just like there always learning, and for free, right? Better than that, it can't get better than that. Sometimes it's kind of overwhelming just because, and I guess you guys feel this too, when I have like too much information and I'm like, how do I know what is reliable and what is not?
When I'm watching those investment videos and people are describing the curve and they're indicating the candles, and I just always feel like I'm watching a parody. I don't know. I don't understand enough of it they could be saying anything. They could literally be saying anything to me about those graphs. They zoom in, they zoom out, they go left, they go right, 7-day averages, 30-day averages, 1-year averages, candles hit, bullhead crosses, and I
want to do. I want to do like a version of those videos where I'm like talking about charts as if they're crypto charts, but actually I've replaced all the charts with like word trends. So like the word is toxic masculinity, and you're following the chart as it goes up. You would never know the difference, like unless you were in on it, on the joke. You would. It's the same amount of value. It's the same amount of sincerity and truth. Like, it doesn't matter. It's all about who's the most enthusiastic, who's the loudest in the space, and who's getting your attention. And people are so desperate to make money and be part of something that they're like, yeah, I like this guy. He's got a lot of enthusiasm and charisma. I trust him. BitBoy Crypto, that's his like.
Yeah.
And he's funny, like he's super charismatic. He's like a really good, and he seems informed. He's very eloquent. Like he's got everything you need, and he's turned it into like his channel looks like a news channel, or one of his channels at least looks like a proper news channel.
Quickly and loudly, he must know
wild.
what he's talking about.
It's
I also
really
like
wild.
There's also Ivan on Tech that I really like personally, and he actually created also his own academy where he teaches you how to do coding and also to like read the charts. So like all these crypto influencers, if you may call them, I don't know if I would call them crypto influencers, but I mean, they do that. Like that's their job, right? On a daily basis. Yeah. And they're passionate about it. And they're creating also these academies, and which are very successful. I was actually thinking about taking a course like and learning how to read the charts, so we'll see how that goes. I wanted to start in September.
Should we talk newsletter?
Yeah.
You seem hesitant, like, are you not?
No, I was like, what did I write? Sometimes I write my newsletter like during the weekend, and then by the time we do the podcast, like I read so many things on Twitter, that I'm like, what did I say? Like, out of all the things that happened.
Is there anything more pertinent to discuss that you read on Twitter?
What I would bring up is definitely the Bondly hack. Like I mentioned that we mentioned like a few weeks back. They actually, like on Monday 23rd, they announced finally that the redeployment is going to take place this Friday, 27th. Okay. By the time this podcast is out, it's going to be last week.
Wait, so is this the timer that you were talking about last episode where it's like supposed to count down to?
The countdown started on August 23rd. It was announced. Cool. So yeah, last week, Bondly announced that they would announce the countdown on Monday 23rd. So then on Monday 23rd, I was like okay, Twitter, please be good with me. Because I thought the countdown would I wanted it to be 3 days or something like that. And I was pretty lucky because then they announced it would be on the 27th of August. So today's the 26th. So that's going to be cool. It's going to be, tomorrow's the big day. I can't wait to keep you all updated next week on how that went. I had a little panic moment because I was trying to understand with my wallet how to connect and to get these new tokens. And I almost got scammed, but I didn't let the scammer get me on Telegram.
Tell me how that happened. Like what happened to where you felt like you almost got scammed?
Yeah, so I went on the Bondly channel and I asked for some help for the wallet because in the list of wallets I didn't see mine. Then I found out how to do it. But I asked the question and then literally after not even a second in a chat, I got technical support, right? Like Bondly technical support calling me and saying, hey, ma'am, I want to help you. Tell me your problem. So then initially I was like, well, that was fast, especially because, the Bondly team usually isn't responsive. And that's what the community is tweeting about all the time. So that was a red flag. And I was like, but oh well, I'll just tell him my problem. So then he said, okay, ma'am, just press this link. And then I was like, this link seems kind of fishy. And then I didn't press it. And then this guy kept on calling me and saying, ma'am, please press the link. Ma'am, are you there? Ma'am. So then I was like, no, dude, this. And then I just blocked it. But
so you never clicked it, thankfully. What do you think would have happened? Did you read anything about this scam afterwards? Was anybody talking about it? Did you warn anybody about it?
Yeah, I went on Twitter and then I saw that the other guys were talking about it. I was like, I should have checked this out. I went a little bit, I got paranoid. I didn't touch anything. I was about to answer the call. I tried pressing on the green to answer initially, when I didn't know, because I just saw this call coming. And then I was like, oh my God, what if I pressed it and now it's in my phone and this guy can see me through my webcam? I don't know. I went into more than just scam. I went into hack of my phone.
You got super paranoid.
I got super paranoid, yeah. But yeah, I went on the Twitter channel and everybody's aware of it. First, I wasn't before it, but now I am. The thing that I didn't really appreciate about, the Telegram channel is that now the Bondly team hasn't been really responsive since the hack happened. And now, if you try texting on the Telegram channel, you have to wait 45 minutes to send another text. So I asked my question and I had to wait 45 minutes to if they had responded to me, I would have had to wait 45 minutes to answer again. And by the time I answer, all the people writing, my message would have been way on top.
Yeah, Telegram's not really great for anything other than it's a stream of information. It's not a way to communicate.
I feel bad that I'm kind of saying that I'm not happy with the communication, but that's how I feel at the moment. I know that they're trying to improve their communication. So that's going to be really decisive in me holding the tokens or not. And that's something else I wanted to mention, that this week they also announced that they're going to do an initiative that if you hodl your tokens until October 27th, they have this initiative called Diamond Hands that they're going to give you a 5% bonus.
So on top of what you've been holding.
Exactly. So on top of what you've been holding, when they give you the new tokens. And that's because I think they want to avoid the dump of many users. Yeah. Because, of course, there's a lot of frustration. You know, it's been a month since this happened. And this is the best period for altcoins, right? Because everything's like soaring up.
Do you think that 5% is enough to keep people interested, or do you think that they're still gonna bounce after the token drop?
I think probably like the whales could be a good thing for the whales, but for like smaller amounts, I don't know how convincing that could be.
It would probably just be as simple as like being more responsive on Telegram and being more responsive with the community. I think that would go a long way in terms of keeping people engaged and holding. But what do you think the issue is there? Like, what is it? Just lack of leadership and or like?
I mean,
just moving too quickly.
I think it's just like moving too quickly. Definitely that, and then there's been a change in CEO. So I think it's just like the internal changes. But even like before that, there wasn't a lot of, even you can check out their Twitter account. There's not like a lot of engagement with the community. So that's something that, initially didn't really bother me, but now it does.
What still keeps you interested? Like, are you going to hold after you get this new, what do you call it? Batch?
Honestly, I wasn't thinking about, I don't know if it's good to say in public in front, but sorry, Bondly team. Like, I don't know. If you convince me otherwise, then yes. But at the moment, no, I'm not very convinced of holding it, just because I've not that I've been betrayed, but it scares me, right? Like when you don't have a lot of communication, it honestly scares me. So unless something changes, but it has to change very quick, I'm not going to hold it for long. I'm probably going to invest in projects that, I like the community and I like the value. So.
Do you have anything in mind right now that you want to talk about? Like anything you're eyeing that you're excited to move to? Or
yeah, actually I do. Like, well, one of them is definitely Realm that we saw last week. I want to invest in that in the beginning of September. So that could be a good thing. So definitely in the metaverse, because I'm involved in a lot of crypto, DeFi projects right now. So, I would like to invest more in the metaverse now, since it's one of my
Virbela
biggest
gonna
passions.
Do something like a token offering or something like that?
Not at the moment. Not at the moment. I guess we're more like now we're focusing on building our new version of the platform, which is going to be awesome. Like we're going to release it towards like the beginning of 2022. So you're going to see a whole new generation of avatars, and also the graphics. It's going to be really a really nice and sleek design. I can't wait to show it to you.
Are we going more in the direction of like realism or just more stylized in terms of the design?
Yeah, so it's going to be like the buildings are going to be, it's going to be like more enterprise, right? You're going to enter, see like these it's hard to explain, like all these fountains, buildings, green. So it's going to keep kind of like our design, but just like be a little bit more, I would say, futuristic in the sense. Okay. Cool. But the avatars, they're amazing. And they're going to keep a little bit of our design. They're not going to be like spatial, where I think did you try out spatial? Where you can like literally upload your image and so you have like your avatar body, but then your face comes out. It still comes out kind of weird.
Okay, that sounds really weird.
Exactly. So it's still going to have that sort of video game feeling, right?
Yeah.
But enterprise. So it's not going to be like other platforms like where you can come to work with a dinosaur head. It's always going to keep that feeling. Yeah. And yeah, it's so exciting. Actually, you guys, this evening we have a beach party in Virbela that you guys have to come to.
I actually probably could do that tonight. Wait, what? Yeah. This evening U.S. time or this evening?
Europe, no, like in Europe, like at 11 p.m.
Okay. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll go to a beach party tonight. I entered Decentraland yesterday for the first time. I designed my
How did
avatar.
it go?
I was wandering around. It was, first of all, that music is so corny. When you first load it up, it's like, what is this, the Wii? But I was surprised by nothing, honestly. I'm looking forward to getting my own piece of land there. I haven't done it yet, but I was just getting the wallet set up and getting my avatar set up and like getting used to the controls, because it is very much like a video game and how you move through the world. I was standing there.
Met anybody there?
Like, no, so I was standing there with my roommate was watching me. I was like I was going through the tutorial and it was like, oh, like you can talk to people. So I was like, hello. Anyone. There's like 6 people around me, nobody responding, and I was like, I'm either doing this wrong or nobody wants to talk to me. So yeah.
Oh my gosh.
How did you feel? Because you said you weren't surprised, but were you underwhelmed? Were you overwhelmed? How did you feel?
Yeah, I don't think I got deep into it enough. Like conceptually it's really not that different from any other like online multiplayer game or community like Second Life or even like Sims. Like it's the same thing. It's the same low res, like kind of I don't know what the right word is, low poly assets, and in that sense it's not that exciting. It's actually quite underwhelming, but I didn't get to experience any of the communal aspects of it, so that's what I still want to do. I want to go out there. It's weird because like I did have this sensation of like insecurity when I was about to start speaking, as if people knew like it was me, exactly this version of me. It's so ridiculous to feel that way. Like you don't want to make a scene, you don't want to be seen as like kind of weird, and all of a sudden I realized how absurd that was, and I let it go, and I was just like speaking whatever I felt like, and that was kind of liberating in a way.
Yeah, no, that's the cool part. But definitely, that's a great point that you brought up, that the user experience isn't that easy yet. And I think that that's something that's going to be extremely important in the emerging, metaverses that are coming out, the virtual worlds. The easier it is, the more mass adoption. That's why also like in Virbela, and you'll see when you guys come in, it's like really easy to, like the user experience, we make it as easy as possible.
Do you find it actually more productive than like using the Google Suite and just doing things through Slack or something?
Definitely. Yes. I find it way more productive. And, I'm just like sitting in my virtual office.
Slack is the opposite of productivity.
Yeah, it is.
Slack is not productive.
If you have a good Slack etiquette within your community, within your organization, it doesn't have to be too distracting, I guess. You can get to the information you need faster than email, let's say. But I agree, Slack is really bad in terms, like people don't use it that way. But I imagine people won't use this that way either. It's like being in an office and kind of just hanging out and like bothering each other. It's like there's no barrier anymore. You're there with them.
Exactly. It's sometimes, well, I have to admit, like we have a very good netiquette, if you can say, of Slack. But netiquette, I don't know how you call that, but like we're very organized on Slack, so you don't have like I don't miss like any things. Like we keep everything neat in our threads and channels. But like you mentioned, I'm there sitting in my virtual office. I don't have that barrier. Like I don't have to type on Slack. If I need something, I have direct contact with leadership. I could just like walk to my boss's office and ask, if I have a question see things together.
Is that distracting? Do you find yourself like engaging with coworkers just because you can, because you're there and it's like easier, or because it's fun even?
No, absolutely. Like we actually, it's nice because we like to even schedule some time to meet each other, right? We have dedicated times. Like I sync up with my colleagues, like 30 minutes, maybe once a week, just so that we can chat about our like work things, but also personal things. So I think it's the perfect balance between.
Do you do virtual team building? Are there like games that you guys play?
We're thinking about like doing, well, yes, we do like trivia. We do some trivia nights. we have like a rooftop with this beautiful concert venue. So we do like trivia nights there. You are laughing, but you have to check it out.
Because you say beautiful concert venue as if it's like this real place that somebody built and designed. Like, it's so funny that the term "beautiful" being applied to like
it
low poly
is, but
design.
also like we have like this beach where you can put like fireworks. You can go for a boat ride. So it really gives you that feeling of being, well, not at the beach because I don't feel like the heat, but it's just, I swear, like when I'm also at concerts in Virbela, I'm dancing like behind my computer. There's my avatar dancing, and I'm dancing. My avatar dances better than me, but
yeah, that makes sense.
I even shared a video with you a few weeks back when I was like at on the beach dancing. Remember that?
Yeah. That was so weird. It's like I don't know why a beach then? Like, what's the why does anybody? Because you don't get the tropical weather and the water and like the sand in all of your crevices. Like, you could be in space for all you. If it doesn't really matter, as long as you're all together, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, you're all together, and the locations.
But so why the beach?
Well, I personally, like, who doesn't love the beach?
I love the beach. I love the beach. I don't have any like emotional connection to a virtual beach. But I guess it's more about like suspension of disbelief, especially I guess if you spend your whole day, like multiple days a week in there, it starts to become more and more real to you, and you can appreciate the mimicry. I like netiquette. That's a great word.
Netiquette. Oh my gosh, I don't know. I was like, netiquette. I don't know. I was like, what is the right word here? Netiquette. You guys have to like bear with me sometimes when I mix like American and Italian, and I'm like,
no, it's great. It's my favorite part of co-hosting with you.
Oh boy. But yeah, definitely you guys have to come and have an experience in Virbela. It's unique, really.
Mark, do you have any exciting projects or NFT games or... Oh, I also signed up for Axie Infinity, by the way, but I won't get into that. But Mark, do you have anything that you want to share or you've come across if you're still there?
I'm still here, yeah. We're getting distracted by small people. Small people, yes. They're going to grow up. I have small people, and so I've been spending most of my time looking at the metaverse and play-to-earn gaming, and I've been this week looking at the ethics of the metaverse and different conversations perhaps to the NFT platforms. I'm interested in the philosophy of the metaverse and where it's going, and how the conversations about the ethics aren't really happening as much as I'd like. I think everyone's focused on what the metaverse is and what it looks like and what it can be, but not how my little people are going to live with it in 10, 15 years. So I've been looking at that. I've not really been looking at any exciting projects this last week.
Have you read anything that's noteworthy or that like had you thinking about the future 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and how it's going to impact them?
Well, yeah, essentially the same issues that the current incarnation of the internet has. So bullying, harassment, data privacy. How are those things going to be handled in the metaverse if it's decentralized? Is that decentralization going to help or hinder that? Is an open metaverse lawless? Some of these more philosophical questions about it. I don't know the answers. I haven't read many answers. I've just been reading a lot of questions about how that's going to be.
Yeah, there's obviously more risk of a decentralized place for, it's just like, being out in the world, right? You have some bad actors and you have people that are more vulnerable than others, I guess. And you can't really, like, decentralization is anti-regulation, right? Or at least to some extent. Yeah, so it would be hard to prevent cyberbullying. I don't know how you moderate a decentralized or an unregulated platform, especially one for kids. That's an interesting conundrum.
It is. They might have to create some metaverses, but they would have to be centralized, like only for like minors, right? in which there would have to be like some moderators, always like supervised by some adults. But
even centralized ones, like I don't know if you remember, Club Penguin was like a big place for kids to play and hang out. Like back in the day, my sister used to use it, and there were tons of people on there like taking advantage of it and like scamming little kids or like doing inappropriate things on there. And they had moderators. They had like a centralized administrative force that was able to sort of regulate it. But I think that's always going to be something you as a parent need to be weary of for your tiny people.
And the kids aren't going to play on those platforms, so they're not going to go into those metaverses. I mean, 10, 11, 12-year-olds, they're going to be in Decentraland, they're going to be playing Axie Infinity or whatever the platforms are in 10 years. They're not going to be... They're going to know more than the adults anyway. They're not going to be going into minors only. They'll be going onto the platforms, and I just wonder how that is going to turn out.
Then it comes down to just how you educate them now, right? Like to be prepared for those platforms when they come, and because you're going to be oblivious to them and they're going to take to them really quickly. You just need to set them up with the right kind of moral compass.
Yeah.
How do you talk to your kids about it? How do you discuss these, like, other than the blog, which I think is a great idea because it's there and it documents your feelings as they evolve, but like how do you talk to them currently about these technologies, and are they using anything that you've had to actually have a conversation about?
Well, it's funny you mention that, because yesterday I'm on holiday with the small people in Normandy, and yesterday we went to the supposed birthplace of William the Conqueror. So it's a castle not far from where we are. And after spending half an hour proving that we didn't have coronavirus, we got let in, and they gave my oldest, who's 5, a tablet. And at first I didn't want to have a tablet. We're going to a museum. We'll read the panels like an old man. We went anyway. They got the tablet. We went in, and it was augmented reality. So it was overlaying. So the tablet overlaid what you could see in the castle with what they thought it would have looked like in the time of William the Conqueror. So whereas you had these just empty rooms, you looked at the tablet, and there's this augmented reality. It wasn't amazing looking, but it was like the metaverse. It was the augmented reality part of the metaverse.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
And so I was like saying, "Oh, what's the metaverse doing, Alice? What's the metaverse look like?" And she was kind of looking at this screen of the augmented reality overlaid on the castle, and my old-fashioned brain kind of flicked, and I thought, it was as a learning tool. It was awesome. So we could learn, we could have the conversation. She's only 5, so we're not having in-depth conversations about the future of like the metaverse and the internet and augmented reality. But I just thought, okay, what a strange place to be looking at the metaverse and speaking about the metaverse in the birthplace of William the Conqueror. But I guess every museum will have that in the future, and it'll be much more utilized. And that was pretty cool.
I'm very curious how her memory of this event, how she reflects on it. Like if you ask her in a couple months, like, do you remember that museum we went to? If she remembers those elements of that room as like there and real, or if she remembers them as a filter in front of real life.
Okay, that's a good question. I'll ask her. And will she remember the castle at all? Will she only remember the tablet and playing with the tablet?
Yeah. Yeah.
In fact, children have no reference of time, so I'll ask her now if she remembers yesterday and what she remembers.
Yeah, true. Because like a week for her is like a quarter of her life, basically. Oh my gosh. It's like, that was forever ago.
But yeah, that was so. It was life gave us the opportunity to speak about the metaverse and technology, and she just embraced it. There was no. There was no hesitation. It's like, I want that tablet. I want it. I want that. I want to see what it does, and I want to use it. And brain hesitated.
Do they have free access to the internet in your presence, or like when you're around, or even when you're not? Like, do they have a computer that they can access on their own? Like
they're far too young for that. They see us on the internet. They watch. We don't have a TV, so they do watch cartoons and stuff on the computer on the internet. They can pick up my phone and find photos already at 5 years old, but they won't have their own devices for a while yet.
Yeah.
At what age are you thinking about giving them like their first personal devices?
can like I sound like my dad when they've got a job and they can buy their own.
Oh.
No, I'm that.
So when did you get your first smartphone?
At the end of middle school. What about you?
What?
Sorry,
like my first
at the end
cell
of middle
phone.
school?
Yeah, like.
So you were like 12?
Yeah.
So your
I
first
begged
phone
for
was a
it.
smartphone.
No, wait a minute. So actually, like, no. Now that I think about it, in the beginning of middle school, it was, when was it? Oh my gosh, like the year. I can't go back to the year. But I had like that flip phone, but it wasn't a smartphone yet. Then towards,
No,
I
yeah,
think
you had a Motorola Razr.
No, Motorola Razr was, I think, in the third year of middle school. And
Okay.
I had
So
that, and I
the
felt
classic
like a
LG.
queen. Yeah, I felt like a queen.
Yeah.
And then, and that's when like the smartphone, I guess, it wasn't like a smartphone yet, but you could go on internet.
Yeah.
And then at the beginning of high school, I got the one that you could like flip like this and then, right?
Oh, yeah, wow. You had, well, so there was the first Droid came out when you were like beginning high school, I think. And then there was also the T-Mobile Sidekick, which was like one of those flip ones. Or there's an LG one too. Like everybody was doing that sideways flip thing for a little while.
Exactly.
But I also like I bought my first smartphone, Mark, if that makes you. But I was 13, I think, when I bought it.
Okay.
Or 14 maybe. Yeah, but my parents didn't have a say in it. I was working, so I was like, "This is my money. I'm gonna go buy what I want."
Really?
And I want a smartphone, and I was so excited for this because it was the first Droid. It was the first Android phone, and they called it like the Droid. And I was like seeing all these ads for it, and it was months away. And I was like, "I need that." I don't even know why, but something inside of me wants that so badly that I bought the case for the phone 3 months before I had the phone. I was so excited.
That's cute.
And it was like relatively useless in terms of like I had a regular phone, like a dumb phone before that,
like the Nokia,
phone, or I had a LG Chocolate, which could do some things, but the Droid wasn't that much of a step up. Like I was supposed to be able to access the internet. It was touch screen, so that was interesting, but it wasn't multi-touch. It was just single capacitive touch screen, so it was kind of shitty. But yeah, it was more about the idea. I think I was just excited for where the technology was going and the potential of it, that I was like, I need to be a part of this. Like I need to have something that can access an app store. That's exciting.
Awesome. No, then definitely I'm trying to go back. Oh my gosh, like I can't remember when I got like my first iPhone. And then I think it was around 2012. I would say, when I was almost 18. I got my first iPhone, and then I started like seeing Instagram and everything, and I was like, oh my god, like going crazy.
So you had like the 4 or the 5?
I had like the 4.
Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah.
Are you like an Android or?
I was like 25.
You were 25. Did you have it? So you remember a time when you just had like a portion of your life was just like when was your first cell phone? At what age?
So I went to university in 1999. Didn't have a phone. There was a couple of computers in the uni library that you could access, but my whole childhood and all of my teenage years didn't have a phone. We went to festivals and concerts, without phones, and we didn't get lost and all that good stuff.
You couldn't lose each other. You had to like keep.
We used landmarks.
Exactly, like
we used landmarks, trees, buildings, things like that. I'll meet you by the gate.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I
love that.
I feel like now we're so used to like having our phones, and you're in this public space and you just text your friend like, where are you? That I think I would get anxiety. Like if I go out of my house without it.
The Realm guys just had like their first product that was successful was this like positioning within an enclosed location. Like they built the landmarks into a digital space. That's so funny. So
oh my god.
So you also remember when like your university was probably an intranet, right? It wasn't even an internet, or was it connected to the internet?
I didn't use it. Like, I just used the books. I was like, it didn't even. There wasn't this huge pull to use it. You know, it wasn't this huge. I must use it. I must do that, because I guess, grown up using books to access the information. So it wasn't in my mind at that time to use something else to access the information, which I guess is the change. I think, like, the year I was born, I'm really on that cusp, those few years where we experienced up to our 20s without it, and then our 20s and 30s with the internet. And whether that's good or bad, haven't quite worked out yet.
I think that's a beautiful time to have existed. I think you have a solid memory of what it was like pre-internet that is a period that we'll never get to experience again. And then you have now what everybody else has, and a perspective that is really unique. I like to put myself in that camp, but I think you have a stronger image of that and memory of that than I do, because I was in my teens when I made this transition to like a fully digital life. Like, I was telling my housemate the other day, I think the last time I had a day without screens was probably when I got that smartphone, like when I was like 14.
Me too.
Yeah, it's really crazy to think about. Like, I can't remember a day where I had like no connection or no viewing of a screen. I went to Norway in 2018 for a 5-day pack rafting trip, where we were in the wilderness for like, we were camping and rafting and camping and rafting. And even then I had my phone with me, and at night I would check it to see if there was any notifications for me for the business. And
here's a question for you two then, Izzy and Eddie. So I am very conscious of that, and at least, I don't know, once a month or something, I'm like, okay, I'm going to not look at my phone today, or I'm going to do a week without looking at my phone. Or there's always this kind of desire to not look at the phone for a bit. Do you have that, or do you just not even think about that?
More and more every day I have that desire, because I feel like I started using the digital well-being tools on my phone to monitor like how much I'm consuming, like how much screen time I have. And when you're aware of that, then it becomes really hard to ignore like how unhealthy it is. And I also find that my best ideas come when I'm not passively consuming things. I think that's pretty obvious. It's probably obvious to say that's common sense, but it's so easy to get lost in mindless scrolling or swiping that 2 hours pass and you're like, what the fuck have I done for the last 2 hours? I've been in this vegetative state, and I just time traveled basically. So I have notifications for me to put my phone down, which is such a weird thing that I need. Like, I don't know why I need that. I should be able to just control myself, but I need that. Reminders to like meditate or stand up or like take a break. Things that are, I think, a transition for me towards less screen time. And I haven't done this day of no screens yet. I've been like kind of waiting for the right moment, because I've been so busy with other things, and I'm so connected. And so like right now I'm, as this article, the premium the premium mediocrity article says, I think I'm living below the algorithm, below the API, where I'm sort of at the mercy of these APIs still, and like my engagement is still important for my income. So it's hard to disconnect.
I totally agree. I do too much screen time, to be honest, because just like you, Eddie, I get lost in like scrolling and stuff like that. And I do feel the necessity to disconnect. But the problem is that like with what I do, like for work, and everything, I just like have to check it. So I'm like, what?
Yeah. But do you? Because that's what I'm asking myself lately. Is like, do you have to check it, or what happens if you respond tomorrow morning, like to a message that you get in the middle of the day? Let's say, like, is it ever that urgent? Is it ever actually that urgent?
It's not always. That's a very good question. I think it's just the mindset that we've come to have. You know, also what I did is like on WhatsApp, I removed the time that I access, and also, no, I have it if like I read messages, but it just gives you that anxiety that maybe like somebody can think that I'm rude if I'm not answering, or I don't know. So
that's bad etiquette.
Sense a little challenge here. We'll challenge Izzy. 48 hours, no screen. How much money would we have to pony up for that to happen?
You wanna do this
How
challenge?
much would it cost you? How much would it cost us to get you to take 48 hours of no screen time?
Do you guys really want to do this with me?
Listen to the quiver in her voice. She's like, I don't know if there's any amount of money.
I don't know, guys. Do you want to bet like 50?
What?
Like no, like $50 each.
I'm thinking so. Like you have
crazy.
to consider what's happening. And when I would give you $100 myself to take 48 hours off if you started right after this podcast and you and you kept it through the exactly because you have this Bondly thing tomorrow, which is happening.
No way. You see?
Yeah, exactly.
No way.
Yeah.
Wait, does the computer count too? In the 48 hours?
All screens.
I have to
You can
think
look at your
about it.
watch.
No, you can look. At
I don't even have a watch. Like
on that note,
that's the thing. My phone is also my
note,
watch.
It's 11. I'm gonna have to turn off my screen. So I will.
Okay. All right.
Okay,
well,
then.
I think that's probably a good place to wrap it up for today anyway. So
Yeah.
let's catch up again next week, guys. Hopefully we have a guest, and it was great chatting with both of you, and I enjoyed it.
Enjoyed it.
So enjoy the rest of your
Take
day.
care.
We'll
Have a
chat
great
again
day.
soon.
Bye.
Ciao.